Uh, these are the different mic holders. Um, and this is my attempt at making the video journal feel like the time capsule at this point in my life. Because as some of you may know that I am, giving away everything I have here. So the lights that I'm using, the stand, the bolsters, the mat, I'm giving it all away and kind of closing this chapter of my life. How I have learned to just honor what you have to let go is by creating something out of it. So by kind of putting it all in the background right now is my way of just capturing it, this moment, this place's essence in the form of a time capsule, which is this video. And who knows, maybe this will serve as an inspiration for something else in future. This is it. This is my time with all of these things. And this is my way of saying goodbye. So it also becomes a very fun creative project of creating and letting go. I think it trains your brain to, understand that you can do your best, and then you have to flow with life. So it's a lesson in that in some ways. And I get to be creative with it because what am I doing? Like, I feel like I'm in a kid's cartoon show right now. Even, I can imagine this to be window into the portal into the future. Like so many creative ways you can play around here. You know what? I think we do need to design our rooms, and we need to have one room or something like that where adults can also go and just be expressive with their creativity and tell stories in a way to cope with what's going on in the world in their own fun, creative, messy, I don't know, imaginative ways. Maybe they want to be more comical about it. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, all of us like to talk. Even those who are more of an introvert, we still have a way of expression. And that's it. I think the most human thing about being a human is that we all like to express ourselves. And the way that expression takes form is just different for everyone. And I think for some of us, it takes us a while to find what that really is. I think I have been one of those people who didn't really know what her thing was. I think so. My sister was, the elder one was very good at writing, the younger one was good with sketching, and I was good at maths. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's my thing. That's what I'm good at. And that's how kind of, my whole trajectory and career path into computer science and all the work I've done kind of was shaped by my interest in maths. But I wasn't really good at drawing, writing, or expressing. I don't think I had anything to express. I was very much of a logical person. So it took me a while, I think, for the expression to finally, and it was so much of, I think, finding your expression is all about experimenting a lot with different formats, and then something sticks, and something is basically reminding you of who you are, and then that is something you stay consistent with. But you can only find it once you go on that search of trying and trying and trying again. And I feel a lot of us do not even go on that search because we are too afraid of expressing. So even in this journey of liberating my voice and finding what my style is, finding what my way of expression is, I think, yeah, it's so much of battling with your own self-doubt and asking yourself and trusting yourself again and again. Like, even in spite of that self-doubt, you're like, no, I got this. So the process of finding your expression, it's a long one, and it depends, when you break through that self-doubt, or in some ways you're always peeling those layers. So I feel like art, in a lot of ways, the journey of creating, whether it's like whatever art is, because art can be subjective, like technology can be art if we really look at it that way. I feel, meant to created to serve the purpose of the people at its time. And then as the purposes of the society evolves, I feel like technology should also evolve. But that's like my view of technology. And I know a lot of people do mirror that, but I do think that it applies in everything in life, like even what you do at work or what you do for your business. I feel like every business at the end of the day, it's a creative business, because what is a creative? A creative is someone who creates, and someone who creates, and what is being created is art. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that a video journal could be art because it's a form of your expression and you're just putting it out there and you're expressing yourself. And if you look at it that way, and I feel like a lot of, technology was created, like YouTube was created for that reason. This is why recently they came up with this new regulations where they would not monetize anything that is by AI, which is, like again, the point of this tool should be for us to connect to other humans. And I feel like at the end of the day, we forget what the purpose of what it is to be a human, and how these external tools which are external to us, how they are just meant to kind of supplement and augment our lives. So I think in a way I'm kind of trying to also encourage other people to show up however they want to, however they are, and be have fun with it. I'm giving away almost all of these things, and I'm not trying to put up a, like these are the only type of videos I put up on YouTube, because at the end of the, this is the same with my Instagram. If you're someone who has been following me there for years, it has evolved with me. And sometimes you try to hold on to the past version of you, and especially if you're someone who maybe, let's say, you know when you do get external validations for some of the things, like with my random moments account, it was going in a very good direction, and you do want to hold on to that aspect, because you're like, this is what I am being congratulated on. But I feel sometimes holding on to something too early on, it stalls the growth of all of you. I don't know if that makes sense in the way I said it. But, like, for example, random moments, and that part of me is a part of me, but it is just one part of me, because I feel like my whole personality and the way I am and the things I want to do, I contain a lot of different interests and curiosities, and I can't be contained in one idea. Yes, I have to learn to just contain myself in one idea, at least sometimes for 1 hour a day. And that's a practice in increasing my attention span, in having these video journals. And I have worked very hard this year in reading books or engaging in material, learning slowly, or just slowing down in everything in general. And it feels like when you choose to live like that, it is almost like a resistance to the existing system and the structure set up around us. Like, everything is expected to be fast delivery, at convenience. You don't have to get out of your house. Like, even dating apps are there, like grocery comes to your home. So technology has been created. And I feel like right now, with the productivity culture and everything is making us feel like we need to save our time as much as possible so we can focus on the right things. And the right things are, I don't know who defines them, but I feel like all of us should really, really ask ourselves, like, it's a pace set up by who? Like, who is dictating this rhythm of our life, that the process of getting groceries should be a very fast and convenient one, and not something which, maybe you go and you touch your produce, you assess it, and you think about, you set an intention for what you're going to cook that night. I feel like we have really, really lost touch with that aspect of living and being in touch with land. So that's like just one aspect. So yeah, slowing down and owning your own rhythm, and dictating your own pace with technology, dictating your own relationship with with different forms of social media. So I don't know if I've shared this here before, but maybe now is a good time for me to kind of also articulate it better. But I like to think of social media as portal to the outside world. Just as when you step out of your house, you're entering the outside world. And right now, our outside world is mapped in terms of proximity. That's how we relate to the outside world. We go out, and depending on when we're walking on the street, what we are interacting with, it's like how it influences, and whatever, the work you go to, the places you live in, like the physical environment is what dictates your experience with the outside world, the public. Now, when it comes to the online world, I feel like internet is that door, right? It has opened the door, and there are like so many doors. And because it's not proximity based, right? It's just bits and bytes, just ones and zeros all over the place. So how do you go, and how do you assess, how do you access the public spaces in this online world? Because it's like a different, if this is the phisical world that is happening, I think of internet as just happening above us. It's like, it's connected with our devices, it's connected with whatever technology but we have with us. So it's a web of its own connections. Sorry, this fascinates me a lot. And I like to think of that world as just happening alongside us. And we can choose to, shut it off by going fully off digital for a while, but it is happening alongside us. And whether it ends up being manifested, it comes out in terms of robots, which it interacts with our physical world more than just the internet, which it already is doing, by the way. So I like to think of, when you go on internet, you are stepping in that online world. So social media becomes like one of those public places where people tend to hang out. So, and what is, when you also go to cities, this is something really fascinates me. You start to learn that every city has its own rhythm, every city has its own, the way the culture is, the way people walk on the street, the way in Colombia around a certain time, they all start going in those shops and dancing on the streets. Like, what to expect on a Saturday night at 6 o'clock at this place in that corner of the city. And it's like something, that place is described by the people that attend there, and they define the how this place breathes. And I feel online spaces are very much similar, but the way, obviously, we have to give our own definition and we have to give our own meaning. The structure has been given to us by the technological corporations, and in a lot of ways, what I was talking about in terms of proximity, like who you interact with depends when you go outside, who you're close with. In the online world, it is somewhat of algorithm, which, the recommendation system based on what it learns about you, and where it may have its own incentive to show you some advertisements to make you buy something because of, whatever the rules have been set to. So, and then, but this is a very much a public space. So just as you would, every time you would go to that corner of the street we were talking about, where people gather to dance and eat and just have fun with friends, that is a public space. So you would understand its rhythm, and you would, have your own boundaries with that space. Like, oh, how do you show up in that space? Who are you known for that space? Like, what parts of you are you open to share publicly, and what parts of you do you want to keep to yourself? So you kind of, the way you would think of that physical space, I like to think of social media as those spaces where people gather in very similar terms. Now we define, it's up to us to define also within that, this other realm of bits and bytes, ones and zeros, as you can imagine, of something over here happening. Like, how do we decide how we gather? Because it's the number that is beyond, we can't gather with everyone on social media. Social media has like so many users now. So we have to choose who we gather and how we also gather. So that, I think, we can define on our own. We can choose, for example, my public account where I am open to everyone and I'm sharing everything with is meant for this purpose. And maybe I have a private account that is just meant for my close people. And maybe some things need to be private or in my own safe spaces. Or even like, okay, what is Instagram? What is that space meant to be for? And how, as a group, if you're choosing to gather on Instagram, why what medium, what is the communication, what is the voice being shared. Like, I don't know, like we have to set the rules of that system depending on how people choose to gather on that platform. And it's like very much about the people you want to be in the community with, because you are also, this is you forming an online community. So the way you're presenting yourself out there is the kind of people that you will be attracting to. So it's like something you have to be mindful about. And then YouTube is, it can be anything. Like, I am choosing it to be my self-expression, to be just these time capsules where, I'm creating this piece of art, which is me just sharing from my heart. And I will, as soon as it's up, I'll forget about it. All of this will be given away, and we will move on to the next one. And I think I like to journal. I like to leave notes in my diaries all over the places. And I think I would like to leave some journal entries in the online world too. And I'm okay with keeping these public because I know how to set boundaries with different systems. Same way I know how to set boundaries with what is happening within home versus what is happening outside, and how much I keep to myself and how much I share with the outside world.